Alright, Shalom. First and foremost, I want to start this lesson off by giving all the praise, honor, and glory unto Yahweh, Ba'ashim Yahushai, Ba'ashim Rakakudash. Double honors to the apostles and elders of Great Millstone. Honors to all the brothers who are firmly preaching the word in sincerity and in faith. Shalom to all the sincere believers. Now, this lesson is going to be based on the dangerous weather threats that are taking place around the U.S. So, through the Spirit, I'm going to read this short paragraph, get some precepts, and Lord's will, you're edified. It says, fire devils swirl in Oklahoma amid dangerous weather threats around the U.S. It says, dangerous weather threatened much of the U.S. on Wednesday. Rob Marciano reports on avalanche, fire, tornado, and storm threats around the country. And I did a lesson, I believe it was yesterday, yesterday, about those skiers who got trapped in that avalanche. And then there's some wildfires burning. I believe it's in Colorado or somewhere in the plains. And you have these winter snowstorms, these winter snowstorm threats, and you have these torrential rainstorm threats, thunderstorm threats, and even possible tornadoes. This is what's happening here in the U.S. And the men of the Lord, starting of course with the apostles and elders of Great Millstone, have been talking about these type of events taking place because it's written in the scriptures. Dangerous times are upon us. But these simple-minded people out here are not taking heed. And that's why they're going to continue to get caught up and ultimately destroyed. 2 Timothy 3:1. This know also that in the last days perilous times shall come. And I have the definition of perilous here. It means full of danger or risk, dangerous, hazardous, risky, unsafe, treacherous. Said of ground, water, conditions, etc. Hazards because of presenting hidden or unpredictable dangers. You have hazardous, risky, or dangerous. Dangerous, likely to cause problem or to have adverse consequences. And that's what we've been seeing. When it comes to these storms, these snowstorms, and even these rainstorms, people don't take it as seriously as they should. They probably think that they're just going to get a light sprinkling of rain or a light sprinkling of snow. And then it turns into torrential rain that causes flash floods and landslides and mudslides. Or, it turns into 8 or 9 feet of snow. That makes slippery, dangerous road conditions, whiteout conditions, power outages, all sorts of just negative, has all sorts of negative effects. The scriptures let you know that in the last days perilous times would come, and we are living in those last days, and the dangers are increasing. Isaiah 29:6. Thou shalt be visited of the Lord Yahweh of hosts with thunder, and with earthquake, and great noise, with storm and tempest, and the flame of devouring fire. And the Lord is visiting the world with earthquakes, storms, and tempest, and fires. There's earthquakes happening in different countries all over the world. There's rainstorms and snowstorms happening, particularly here in the U.S. But in regards to the snow anyway. But in regards to the rain, that's happening in other countries. They're getting a lot of rain, getting some flooding going on out there. The tempest. When you look up the definition of tempest, it means a violent windy storm. And some countries have been experiencing that, and some cities here in the US have been experiencing that as well. And in regards to like tornadoes and hurricanes, I think last month there was a tornado somewhere either in the south or in the Midwest. So those are still taking place. And there's going to be a lot more of those as well. This is in the flame of devouring fire. And I can't remember exactly where it is, but I believe either out there in Oklahoma or somewhere there's some fires burning, like some wildfires burning. Either it was in Colorado, in a different part of Colorado than where the avalanche happened, because the avalanche happened up in the mountains. So either it was a different part of Colorado or it was a different state. But there was some wildfires burning. And as I've said before, if we make it to the summer, best believe the wildfires are going to be just popping off everywhere. There's going to be heat waves. There's going to be a lot more crazy storms and tempests. Or maybe some hurricanes, some tornadoes. That's the time that we're in. The Lord visiting this world that He made with all these different deadly, destructive events or judgments. Isaiah 28:2, Behold, the Lord hath a mighty and strong one, which has a tempest of hail and a destroying storm, as a flood of mighty waters overflowing shall cast down to the earth with the hand. And like I said, that's what the Lord is doing. He's bringing these destroying storms that cause trees to fall over, snap power lines, could tear the roofing off of homes, the siding off of homes. He's sending these torrential rains that cause a lot of flooding. Like the Lord is not messing around in these last days. And the men of the Lord, through the Spirit, are continuing to warn these people. But majority of people are not going to take heed to the warning because the Lord is not putting the Spirit on them to take heed. Only the members of the hopeful elect are actually going to take heed to the warnings. Salakia. Psalms 83:14, As the fire burneth a wood, and as the flame setteth the mountains on fire. Verse 15, So persecute them with thy tempest, and make them afraid with thy storm. And that's what the Lord is doing. He's dishing out these storms and these tempests, the fire, tornadoes, the rain, the torrential rains, the snow. He's dishing out all of these things upon these cities, and with some of these judgments, He's dishing them out onto other countries as well. This is the last days. Even people in the world are starting to acknowledge that, storms and tempests and fires and earthquakes, they happen. They've been happening, but they seem to be happening a lot more often. And they seem to be a lot more intense than they were a couple of years ago. And in typical fashion, because they're simple-minded, these people are like, oh, well, that's just Mother Nature, instead of giving all the credit to the Heavenly Father Yahweh, whose judgments these really are. Psalms 9 and 16, the Lord Yahweh is known by the judgment which he executeth. The wicked is snared in the work of his own hands. Higgaion Selah. Yeah, so the fires, the storms, the tempests, the earthquakes, the power outages, the car crashes, all of these different judgments come from the Lord, the Heavenly Father Yahweh. He gets all the credit for it. And all of these wicked people who refuse to give him his credit are going to fall victim to these very judgments. So for all you sincere brothers and sisters out there, continue to be circumspect and continue to watch. Salakia. Because the Lord is going to continue to intensify these different judgments. Continue to be circumspect, continue to watch, and continue to stay prayed up. Things are about to get a whole lot more hectic and chaotic and dangerous and deadly and destructive out here. So with that, I'm going to wrap it up here. In closing, I want to give all the praise, honor, and glory unto Yahweh, Bahashim, Yahweh Shai, Bahashim, Rakakudash, the Wadi How, Bahashim, Yahweh Shai, for putting the spirit on me to do this lesson. Double honors to the apostles and elders of Great Millstone. Honors to our brothers who are still fervently preaching the word in sincerity and in faith. Shalom to all the sincere believers. Hope you all stay strong, stay safe, stay fervent, stay circumspect, stay prayed up, and Adawan Ratazah. Till next time, Shalom.